Shalom, this is ben-Emmett for the Torah Watchman Show International. Hope everyone's well. I have a short video take here about Ezekiel chapter 38. Where am I recording this? Well, the public pool in Montgomery County in Silver Spring, Maryland, sitting in the shade, trying not to get sunburned. Everyone's talking about the wars in the Middle East. We know what happened October 7th, 2023. You know what happened in the conflicts with Hamas, numerous conflicts before that time. You heard about the Yom Kippur War. You heard about the Syria War, in which we won Golden Heights. You heard about the war with Egypt as well. You know about the Arab wars that started in 1948. After God called us from all the nations to be reassembled and live securely, peace and safety in Israel, after 1948 when declared independence. Every Christian, every Jew knows this. This is history. But the trigger for any biblical prophecy has to be first, just like Ezekiel talked about, the valley of dry bones, when all the skeletons and remains of the Jewish people long forgotten in the thousands of years in the past. Well, God has not forgotten about them. They're scattered among the nations. At least 9.5 tribes were lost, not forever. Northern kingdom were absorbed by the Assyrian armies and essentially replaced them in foreign lands so they would lose that Zionist nationalistic spirit for their homeland. But now we've come back. We've come back by millions. There's about 9 million Jewish souls, more or less, in Israel. There's 2 million Jews just in Brooklyn, New York, United States. There's about 15 or more million Jews worldwide. So what I'm saying is all of the prerequisites of the war of Gog and Magog, that's what this video is about, that the chess pieces are on the board and there's a main game between the bishops and the kings and the opposing armies and everything are coming together before our eyes. Whether you believe it is right for the United States to get involved in this conflict, to remove the nuclear threat forever from Iran's terrorist and Nazi-like government, the IRGC, the mullahs are the problem statement, not the soldiers per se. The mullahs need to be targeted as well, in my opinion. But the thing is, whether you believe it's right the United States get involved in this, well, the President of the United States made a promise when he took office. I voted for him. I thought he would have a Jew first, or Israeli first, rather, foreign policy, but not an Arab first, like he has put Qatari interests above the interests of Jews that were massacred in October 7, 2023, and all the hostages that were taken in Gaza Strip. Yes, Hamas is still armed and standing strong in Gaza Strip. Believe this is right or not, I believe God allowed it to happen. Let's just settle the dust right there. It's happening. The next stage here, who's going to take out tens of thousands of armies under IRGC leadership, command and control in Iran? That is the major set of chess pieces that need to be won over and taken over in this chessboard of life that I'm talking about. Well, let me have a breakout here and I'll explain to you different parts in Ezekiel chapter 38. Christians, turn to the Old Testament. Jews, you know it well, the prophet Ezekiel and our Jewish Tanakh. Now, Ezekiel chapter 38 predominantly talks about the leader Gog from the land of Magog, Meshach and Tubal, will come with their armies, converge in a coalition of forces against Jerusalem. Well, scientists today, archaeologists and others believe that Meshach and Tubal is none other than Asia Minor, or Turkey, or the Balkans, or parts of Russia. But we know it's far north of Israel, per se. Now, Erdogan, even though President Trump says he's a good man, well, you know the Turks, the Ottoman Turks, were guilty before World War I and the wholesale massacre of Armenian Christians, and the United States has never really said anything about that and never held them accountable to pay reparations to these poor people. Israel recently has stood up and done the righteous thing with that. So the prime minister in Turkey recently has gone in the news outlets and said his intent to take Jerusalem away from Jews, and I guess that's Eastern Jerusalem, going back before 1967, those lines of demarcation for the war and the ending of the war, the 6 Days War, or all of Jerusalem. That's the intent of that radicalized Islamic parliament that's in Turkey today. They already had that motivation intent to destroy Israel, essentially. They're making that declaration just as much as the Ayatollah of Iran, and leading the IRGC against Israel as well. And all their proxy elements too. Hamas, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and definitely don't want to forget about that. We have Idea of Truth along a green zone and a demarcation zone there between northern Israel and Lebanon. But most of northern Israel and Galilee have been evacuated because of that war and the conflict of 2,000 more missiles and drone attacks against the Jewish people. Of course, the Houthis in Africa too. But we're talking about a coalition of nations that will join Gog and Magog. We're talking about Libya or Put, such as Libya and Sudan. But Yemen is a large area too. And of course, these region states were not named per se until the end of the colonial empire of Great Britain, the British Empire. That was 100 years ago, and they actually drew these arbitrary country boundary lines there. But where we're at right now, in summary and conclusion of this video, you read in Ezekiel 38, extremely dynamic passage. Did not make sense at all, say 100, 200, 500 years ago, to any rabbi or theologian, but now we see what's happening. Why? Because the main trigger, the Jews are living securely in the land of Israel, Eretz Israel. That's why all these things can happen now, literally within a heartbeat or a blink of an eye, that we are living in the last stages in which Eliyahu, who never died, was taken up into heaven on a fiery chariot, and remember that passage there very well. Every man is to live and to die. That's a promise to humanity. But Eliyahu will come back and he will present the Mashiach. Mashiach is probably in Israel right now, or close to coming to Israel very soon. Wouldn't it be amazing if the Mashiach actually comes from a pedigree through the patriarchal line and not his paternal line? But what I'm saying, rabbis and hakams around the world and Jews around the world are following the prophecy of Ezekiel 38, leading up to 39, when everything will be done. The knowledge of God will be throughout the land, and there will be peace and safety throughout the entire world, and everyone will gather around and teshuvah and forget and begging for forgiveness that they knew, like in Zechariah 8:23, that all the nations will come and find a Jew that can locate, grab the hem of his garment and said, "Take us to Jerusalem, teach us the Torah. We were wrong, you were right." Signing out until the next time, read Ezekiel 38. Look at Fox News or Breitbart, any of these conservative news outlets. Know what's happening near real time with the war in Iran. Listen to what Benjamin Netanyahu is saying in Israel. Go between two extremes of what Trump is saying, Bibi's saying, and you will find close to what the truth is. God is in all of this, in that master chess game of Bible prophecy.